Welcome back to the channel. Global breaking news, and today, we're diving into a major breaking story that's putting Chicago back in the national spotlight. It's being called a crime tsunami, as anti-ICE protests across the city have turned violent, sparking outrage, arrests, and serious questions about the government's tactics. What's really happening on the ground? Who's involved? And why is this turning into one of the most intense flashpoints in the country right now? Stay with me as we break it all down, in clear, simple language, right here on the channel. In recent weeks, Chicago has become the eye of a storm. The city, long portrayed by some politicians as beset by rising violence, now faces a new narrative, a crime tsunami, used to justify aggressive federal actions. At its center is Operation Midway Blitz, a large-scale enforcement initiative by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) to arrest undocumented immigrants with criminal records in Illinois, especially in Chicago. From the start, tensions were high. The city's governor and mayor say they were given little notice and were excluded from planning. Local leaders call the operation militarized and question whether it respects civil liberties. ICE and the Department of Homeland Security (DHS), however, defend the effort, saying it targets people already convicted of serious crimes. Protests soon erupted, growing from organized rallies into scenes of confrontation. In Broadview, a suburb of Chicago, demonstrators gathered outside an ICE processing facility, chanting, singing, and demanding transparency. Federal agents responded with tear gas, pepper balls, and forceful tactics. Videos show agents physically assaulting some protesters and pushing journalists. In some protests, participants blocked ICE vehicles from entering or leaving the facility. In Chicago's downtown loop, one protest became dangerously chaotic when a car drove into a crowd of demonstrators. At least one protester, a 66-year-old woman, suffered a broken arm. Around 17 people were arrested that night. Several of those arrested faced felony charges, including resisting officers, assault, and damaging government property. The city braced for more incidents as ICE raids continued. One of the flashpoints came when a U.S. Border Patrol agent shot a woman during a protest in the city's Brighton Park district. Authorities say she drove into a line of ICE vehicles, and she was armed with a semi-automatic rifle. The woman drove herself to a hospital. No federal agents were seriously hurt. Trump then authorized deployment of 300 National Guard troops to Chicago, bypassing state approval, a move sharply criticized by Illinois' governor. Earlier in the crackdown, an ICE agent fatally shot Silverio Villegas-Gonzalez during an arrest attempt in Franklin Park, a Chicago suburb. The federal government said the man resisted arrest and dragged an officer with his vehicle. His death inflamed local tensions and added fuel to accusations of excessive force. Supporters of the protests argue that ICE's tactics amount to a campaign of fear and intimidation, especially in immigrant communities. They point to midnight raids, masked agents rappelling from helicopters, and children being zip-tied during operations. Civil rights groups, journalists, and local officials are calling for investigations into whether the federal response respects constitutional rights, including free speech and protest. Critics of the crime tsunami framing say it overstates Chicago's actual crime trends. According to police data, violent crime in Chicago has declined in recent years, and 2025 is seeing lower homicide rates compared with past periods. Many analysts caution that tying immigration enforcement directly to crime reduction is misleading, because immigrants statistically commit fewer crimes than native-born citizens. Still, the protests have become a national spectacle. Similar confrontations are playing out in cities like New York, Los Angeles, Washington, and Portland. The federal government views these operations as both immigration enforcement and law and order campaigns. In Chicago, the conflict remains unresolved. The city is polarized between calls to support immigrant communities and demands for stricter policing. The coming days are likely to see